Hello, everybody. This is the next episode of our webinar series called Serpask. I'm Dido Grigorov, head of SEO of Serpact, and today we're going to talk about one of the most interesting topics in the recent years, and it is called the SEO and the hosting, and how they work together hand in hand. So we have a very interesting guest today. His name is Vlad. He has 20 years of experience in the web hosting industry, and he wants to make the internet a safer place, well, like everybody else, on the web for everyone by allowing every online business to have their own fully managed VPS with a control panel and daily backups at the same price as a shared hosting. Vlad is a performance-driven individual who is passionate about technology, innovations, and leadership. He believes that every website should be hosted on its own server, as that is the only way to achieve maximum security, speed, and reliability. Whoa, okay. Vlad is currently a co-founder and CEO of Scala Hosting LLC and Espanel LLC. Welcome, Vlad, and we're so happy to be here with us and our special guest.
Hello, everyone. I'm also so happy to participate. And first of all, thank you for inviting me here. I'm really happy to be here and to try and help people with something interesting and new for them. I hope everyone will enjoy the webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Vlad. So let's start a little bit with your personality and your background. And let us know a little bit, how did you start with your hosting services company? And how did you start with hosting services at all?
Okay, let me start from the beginning. Basically, I didn't start with web hosting. I started with Linux about 25 years ago.
Wow.
With an unsuccessful installation of Slackware Linux. And later, I found that playing with servers is funny, and I could stay on my computer running commands on the console and learning new stuff all day long without getting exhausted. I was young at that time, but I'm still not getting exhausted quickly. Anyway, at some points, especially at the beginning of my career, I was working 18 hours a day, and I didn't know what day of the week it is, or if it is a day or a night outside. Basically, servers and systems administration was my passion, which led me to the web hosting industry. And as in the beginning of my career, I started as a web designer, and then I was a developer, and basically something like a full stack developer, a term that didn't exist at that time. And I found that servers and web hosting is much more interesting for me than developing websites. So anyway, that stuff was so interesting for me. So I decided this is what I want to do in my life going forward. So I created my first hosting company and got a reseller account. There was no company legally, but I didn't sell much. I got one customer who was requesting support all the time, and since it was a one-man show company, I had configured notifications to receive SMS messages, and if I receive support requests, no matter what time is it, and if I'm sleeping, I wake up and look into the issue and resolve it immediately. So I can have 24/7 technical support like the real companies. But some years later, after doing some web designing and working as a freelancer or sysadmin, I decided that I have to form a company the way it has to be done properly with all the legal stuff. So I found the current co-founders of my company. Basically, we formed a team. We hired technical experts and salespeople, and we started growing. And after hundreds of sleepless nights and all the effort, we have managed to get where we are today. At the moment, my company is serving clients from 120 countries in the world, and we host the websites of 700,000 website owners. All that experience we got during the years let us start our most recent project, which summarizes the experience of 2 decades. Basically, we were able to do something that has never been done before in the hosting industry.
Wow.
We allowed every website owner to be able to choose between a shared hosting account and a fully managed virtual server with a control panel and daily backups, while the cost remains the same. Those changes, those new things that we developed changed the hosting industry and will lead it to a new direction where every online business will have their own virtual server and it will be affordable. From technical perspective, that process will make the internet a safer place for everyone, for sure, because we all agree that the shared hosting model cannot provide the security, control, and speed that websites need today to rank well in Google and other search engines and to be secure.
Very good. Yes, a very good explanation.
Yeah, this is pretty much a basic overview of how I started and what I'm doing today and what I plan to do in the next couple of decades, I hope.
Oh, very well said. And what do you love most about hosting services and the servers mostly? Because you mentioned that you really love servers, managing servers. So what is your favorite part of that? Besides the hosting,
Yeah, basically it's everything, because I love configuring the servers and the software on them so that it performs the best it can given the hardware we have in our hands. So it's everything. Basically, it's a passion, and since I was a kid, and now it became what I'm doing as a professional. So basically, anything that's related to servers, to IT, to infrastructure, to online services, apps, websites, it's I like it, and I want to learn more about it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump straight forward to our topic today: the hosting services and SEO, and the hosting services in respect, of course. So we've seen so many articles, people writing about the most suitable, the most best hosting services, best hosting providers for SEO. How would you define the best hosting server for SEO in your opinion? Does it exist at all?
Technically speaking, I wouldn't say there is such a term. I think there isn't such a term as best hosting for SEO. For me, there is an adequate hosting solution and an inadequate one. And when a business puts efforts into SEO or hires an agency to help them rank on page 1 of Google, they need an adequate hosting solution, and it becomes a must. And everyone must know that shared hosting is not good if you will plan to grow and scale your business big time. Shared hosting means that you have hundreds of other websites sharing the same IP address, and if the IP address gets blacklisted because one of the hundreds websites did something bad, like spamming, or it got compromised, that will negatively affect its SEO, its ranking in Google, and basically it will negatively affect all the effort that was spent to rank well. And while you're spending thousands or hundreds for SEO to rank on page one, something as cheap as shared web hosting may affect all your efforts, and you may lose your chances to rank well. So if you have plans to grow and scale your business and it's important for you and you want to rank well, you need an adequate hosting solutions. At this point, for me, the only adequate hosting solution for a business is a virtual server, where you'll get a dedicated IP, you'll get guaranteed resources, and all that, if it's configured properly and managed by experts, you'll get the results you want, and you'll have the chance to rank on page one.
Okay, very good explanation, and it was time for us to beat the myth that there is no such a thing as the best hosting server on the web for SEO. So as you know, many people are selecting hosting services by different criteria, but there are some most common criteria already noted by another kind of people behind this kind of hosting servers. And these criteria are the loading speed, the security, and maybe the support or the uptime. Let's start having a look on the loading speed of the web servers, because this is the top criteria for choosing or selecting a specific hosting service. Could be VPS, could be shared hosting, or anything specific, anything specified, for example, like WordPress hosting or something like that. So let's start with the loading speed and talk about the reasons for slow websites. What do you think, as a technical person, is the main reason for a website to be really slow? The source code, the too many resources, or bad configuration of the server? What are the most common reasons for that?
Well, okay, to answer directly, yeah, it can be any of those, or it can be all of them together. But that's not the main point that people, I think, yeah, this is my opinion, people need to know. First of all, we need to think what Google wants to achieve and how it ranks websites when we talk about speed, and why speed is important, because Google didn't decide themselves that, okay, speed is important, and if your site is slow, we won't rank it well. That's not the point.
Of course.
Google's idea and target is for everything to happen naturally, like it is in the nature. The strongest survive, and the weakest will not survive. I don't want to say die, but weakest will not survive. That's how it works in the nature. And what I mean here is that the speed of the website is very important for Google to rank your website, because the speed is important for your visitors to perform the task they want to perform. And no matter if it is finding information or purchasing a product or whatever it is on your website. So if you're relevant and efficient to your users, and you allow them to do what they want in order so they can do what they want quicker than your competitors and competitive websites in your niche, then Google will rank your website higher in the SERP. It will rank you higher not because your website is lightning fast, but because your website is serving the visitors in a better way than other websites in your niche. So how can you get the speed you need to outrank your competitors? Because if you outrank your competitors and your website is faster and delivers better results for the visitors, then believe me, Google will rank you higher. Or at least you will win on the competition for speed, because there are many competitive factors. So we are talking about speed here, and you'll win for speed. So some of or most of your competitors are neglecting the importance of hosting, and they're using shared hosting. Shared hosting, but 2 hours later, when you are not checking the website, it may be slow because another website on the server did something bad. At some point, no matter if it is day or night, your shared server will get overloaded because one or more of the websites got much more traffic, or a website was compromised and started spamming, or which will slow down the whole server, and all the websites on it will be slow, and all of those websites, their rank will be affected. That's why you need to know that speed is important, and you need to know that the only way to have a guaranteed speed 24 hours per day is by having your own server with dedicated, guaranteed resources, because it will allow your website to be fast all the time. And Google will notice that, because when you sleep, Google is crawling the websites, and they know how fast your website is, and when it is slow, they also see it and know about it. And Google will rank your website accordingly, depending on that factor. It will be added to the whole mix of factors. It's not only speed. If you fix speed, that doesn't mean you'll rank on page 1. Speed is just one of the factors. Or yeah, maybe Didu here can add some more information from SEO perspective, because I'm not a professional in SEO. I know I have read a lot, but not enough, not as much as Didu has read.
Yes, actually, your explanation is very good. Hearing your voice, please, can you please stop your speakers? Can you please stop your speakers, because I'm hearing my voice? Yes, actually, the explanation you have provided is really, really good, and we really wanted to hear that kind of explanation from a technical person coming from a hosting provider, because it is a good idea to hear that this is not only important for Google, for an SEO specialist, but also it is important from business perspective when it comes to related to the business hosting at all. The business of the hosting at all. So yes, totally, it is important also for the user. So if we explain it that way, we see so many win-win-win-win situations. Everybody wins here, because it is the user, it is the hosting provider, it is the SEO specialist, it is Google, of course, here, and that's why the loading speed at all for first for the user and for the owner of the website is important, then for everybody else, because if they have if the loading speed is good, the website will generate more leads. That way it will keep the users more, because it is the overall user experience is very good and pleasant for the people. And along with that, everybody else in this chain, if we say this is, assume this is chain, will be happy, because the hosting provider, for example, will be happy because the owner of the business will keep the website there. Google will be happy because the website is fast and it will work hard, the SEO will be happy because it will achieve one of the top goals for optimization, and everybody will be happy there in this situation. And of course, as you said, this is an informed decision made by Google to include the loading speed as a ranking factor, because we know that we still see some websites with very slow loading processes, like external processes, or very badly written source code, or too many resources, or they have bad configured servers, but they don't know it, and or they don't know what to do, or they even don't know the reason. And these kind of websites, they do not do anything within the time. Once you have, for example, a managed VPS, and once you work on that loading speed, you will have it in the future, and Google will know it, as I said, and this is a very good idea. Of course, we come here to always the war, the war between the shared and VPS, but definitely the VPS is a better idea when it comes to the loading speed. As I started talking about different types of servers, what would you choose for SEO? Apache, Nginx, or Whitespeed?
Well, if you can afford it, Lightspeed would be best. If you have the option to have someone to configure the free version of Lightspeed, which is open Lightspeed, then it's better for you because you won't have to pay the fees. But the benchmarks show clearly that the winner here is Lightspeed and open Lightspeed, and your website will load faster if you are using one of those. It's not a significant issue, in my opinion, for SEO if you are using Apache, but it will be better if you are using Lightspeed. That's my opinion.
And could you explain us a little bit more, of course, briefly and understandable, if you don't mind, what is the difference between the three of them, and why do you choose the Lightspeed?
Apache is the most. It has been the most used web server many years ago, and it is the most comfortable, maybe, web server for lots of administrators, including me, because we have been using them for so many years. But then Nginx and Lightspeed came to life and allowed people to get some better performance from the hardware they have. Nginx requires you to have an expert, a system administrator, who knows how to configure it, and so that it performs well. The difference here between Nginx and Apache will be for huge websites with lots of visitors, many visitors. And there you can notice a difference when you have thousands of requests being processed at the same time. Then you see a difference. But if you have some thousands of visitors, the difference you won't notice. No one will notice the difference here. With Lightspeed, the difference can be noticed. Because if you compare Apache and Nginx, the biggest difference there is between the processing of static content like images, CSS, HTML, and so on. The dynamic content, for example, PHP, it's almost the same. It's almost the same. The difference is really, really, really small, and you won't notice a difference. With Lightspeed, it's different. It's different because they process the PHP in a different way, and they have their own engine which processes PHP, and it does it much more efficiently than Apache, than PHP FPM, or whatever way you decide to run PHP under. Lightspeed is the best here, and the benchmarks show that. So if you can afford to pay for it, then go for Lightspeed. If you can't afford it, but you have the skills to or have someone to configure for you Open Lightspeed, then go for Open Lightspeed.
Okay, we have a question here from our audience. Right now at the moment, did you make any tests between the three different types of servers, and what do you think about this the loading speed between the three of them with the Google PageSpeed software?
Yeah, of course, I tested all of them because I wanted to prove. I never never rely on the public benchmarks because I want to see with my eyes the difference. I tested all of them. I tested the Google PageSpeed module for Apache. But generally speaking, when you test Apache and Nginx, I wasn't impressed by Nginx because most of the websites nowadays are not that busy. The busiest websites, yeah, they better use Nginx instead of Apache, but the number of those sites is very small. For the normal website with some thousands of visitors per day, Apache or Nginx, it's okay. Whatever you feel comfortable with, it will be okay. Your visitors will not see a huge difference. Here, I want to mention that Apache, being the most mature web server and the oldest one in the web industry, it has tools that can be used to configure the server, and it can get very, very good results and real close, I think, to Nginx. I didn't test those, but I have seen other people testing it. I just didn't prove it for myself, and they got pretty good results, and they were really close to what Nginx provides. But to achieve those results, you really need to have an advanced experience with working with Apache and use it to configure your own hosting environment. Here, of course, I'm talking about big websites with lots of traffic, and lots of traffic, I mean millions of visitors, not some thousands.
Yeah, of course.
It's possible. It's possible. When you look and test the performance, when you process PHP, things are different. Here, Lightspeed outperforms both Apache and Nginx, no matter how PHP is configured to be executed, no matter if it is like as CGI or PHP FPM or fast CGI, whatever method you use, Lightspeed outperforms all those.
Yeah, okay. A very good and detailed explanation by a professional. Of course, as expected. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next criteria. It is the uptime of the server. Many people are kind of fanatical when it comes to this type of metric, and they even start attaching some specific software for tracking the uptime of the servers and so on. So there are some several supporting questions when it comes to the uptime of the server. We all know that this is important for SEO, but does the 100% all the time uptime server exists on the planet? And what this metric is dependable on? I mean, what are the main factors that influence the uptime of the server?
Well, okay, so many questions. I'll try to answer. First of all, achieving 100% uptime, first of all, that is very expensive. It's really hard to achieve for the normal websites, and it's not necessary. If you check Google stats, they don't have 100% uptime too. So it's not something that people should look at as the biggest factor. Of course, uptime is and has always been a huge factor, and not just for SEO. But yeah, if you're doing SEO and spending time and money to rank in search engines, your website must be always accessible, and uptime is important. You need the right hosting company that has the infrastructure to support that and provide high network uptime and infrastructure uptime. But luckily today the technology has reached a point where high uptime is really a basic feature, and it doesn't take too much of an effort to achieve it. But yeah, uptime is a huge factor for SEO, and for sure I'll get back to shared hosting because it's something very important for me. For sure, shared hosting cannot guarantee high uptime because of the way it is designed to function. The chance to achieve highest uptime, this is very important, the chance to achieve highest uptime is only possible with a virtual server because there is no one else, and no other website on the server may affect your website, so you end up experiencing downtime, losing visitors, sales, and also affecting your rank, because if Google notices that your website is not available, you won't rank well.
Yeah, definitely. We will see the results on the server. Yeah. After a period of time. Okay, so your advice here is that we shouldn't be so fanatic when it comes to the uptime of the server. We have to make sure that the hosting provider has it. It's as highest as possible, and then we have to choose one. For example, we think that it's good for us and our project, or maybe we have to consult the support, and then we can go and make the decision, I think.
Well, about the decision how you choose your hosting provider, I think this is here I can get into details and talk a lot, because but it's a business decision. We can talk about it later, but here about uptime, it is important, and most of the biggest providers have that basic feature of enough uptime. Let's call it enough uptime, not 100% uptime, because you can't achieve that. If you want to have 100% uptime, I mean guaranteed, not that your server worked for 1 week or 1 month or 6 months without a single minute of downtime. I'm talking about 100% uptime for a long period of time, let's say 5 years. You need to be ready to spend many thousands of dollars per month to achieve that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not possible to buy a VPS somewhere and or shared hosting somewhere, and they have super reliable network and whatever they mention. At the moment, there isn't from the regular hosting providers, there isn't a provider where you can get such high availability, multi-data center availability. It's possible technically, but no one offers it because there isn't a demand for it, because it's very, very expensive and complicated to be achieved.
Yeah, okay. Before continue with the next two topics I'd like to discuss with you today, Let me ask you a very quick question. Do you believe that, because there are so many rumors still on the web about that, so do you believe that server location is important for Google or more for the users? What do you think? What is your advice here?
I think that the location is the most important for the visitors of the website. And when you're looking where to host your website, you need to know where your visitors will be from. I mean, most of them, not all of them. It's clear that anyone in the world, no matter where he is, should be able to access your website. But if 80% of your visitors are from country X, then it's a good idea your website to be in a data center in that country. Mm-hmm. But this is not critical, especially for SEO, in my opinion. Didu, you can tell people a little bit more here. I'm sure you know more than me in this regard. I think that it's not so important where the server is for SEO. It's important for the visitors because the website will load faster, will perform better, and the user experience will be better.
Actually, the official statements of Google are almost very similar to what you say. I mean that people from Google are talking about the fact that they don't care about the location of the servers. They could be everywhere on the planet, but they do care about the user experience. So if the user is happy and the website is serving the resources and the content as quickly as possible, then Google will be okay with that still.
Absolutely. That's what I mentioned at the beginning, that everything has to happen naturally. And if naturally your website is doing its job to provide whatever the visitor is looking to get, then you're doing good and Google will rank it on the first page. If you have if you have fixed everything else and all other factors, because there are so many.
Okay, so now let's jump to the two most important topics when it comes to selecting a hosting provider. Then you provide our audience and users with the top criteria for choosing a hosting provider. One of your favorite topics you can talk about a lot. But before talking about it, let's talk about the security of the hosting server. Google implemented into the Google Search Console even a specific section for security, and if something is wrong there, they will inform you as soon as possible. Sometimes they're really quick when it comes to informing about and notifying about problems with the hosting server and the hacking, maybe which could be from a hacking attack or malware, malicious software, and so on. So what kind of measures the hosting providers are taking when it comes to providing the best security from hacking attacks, from malware, and so on? Malicious software, maybe.
Okay, security, it is the biggest issue for websites nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And over 80,000 of websites are being compromised every single month, and most of them use shared hosting. I can't stop mentioning that shared hosting is the past, and if you are doing business with your website, you need to know what is best for your business, and that's a decision that need to be provided to you from a technical expert, and not this is not a decision for a CEO. This is a decision for the CTO. That's what I want to say. And getting back to security, security is important for your website and business, and because no one wants no one wants his customers' data stolen or his website used as a phishing website to steal people's credit cards and personal data. And if you are using an inadequate hosting solution such as shared hosting, and you are administrating personal data such as names, emails, credit cards, you must steer clear from shared hosting. Generally speaking, it means lower security. And I know many people will start asking questions here and arguing that if the server is properly configured, then shared hosting is okay. But I don't agree. During my experience of dealing with websites, I have seen thousands of compromised websites, and I have helped thousands of businesses to recover after a compromise. And if 15 years ago, after compromising a website, the hacker was using it to send spam, hackers today are much smarter. They'll inject they'll inject code, malicious code, so you won't even notice your website is hacked, but Google will notice.
It
will notice. It will notice, and it will penalize you for not being careful enough and not taking actions to avoid the compromise in the first place. So
just to clarify something, sorry for interrupting you. Actually, Google doesn't penalize immediately. They first will warn you through the Google Search Console. There is a specific section there for security issues, and you will have this warning, and they will give you the hint and the information what is the problem and how to find it. But after that, you have to do something, of course. Otherwise, you will be really penalized after a period of time. They will give you some time in advance. But what should we do when you see this security issue? Because not everyone is a programmer or a software developer or understands source codes and so on. So what should be the first step we have to make when we see this kind of warning, or when we see that our website is acting very strange?
Here, as I said, here you are more experienced than me in SEO and Google requirements and how they handle different situations. But what I was trying to say is that if your website is compromised, that's not good for your customers, and that's not good for your business.
Absolutely.
And if Google notifies you via the Search Console, I can tell you that most of the people don't even know what is Google Search Console.
Yes.
And they will never understand that their website was compromised.
This is usually left to the SEO specialist, and they don't know about that, Or they sometimes they even don't use the Google Search Console, which is a very big problem.
Yes, absolutely. So security is important, and people need to care about it and do whatever they can to increase it. I'm saying increase it because security cannot be guaranteed. Anything that is developed, created by a human being can be compromised and hacked and broken by another human.
Okay, so what should be our first step when we see that our website is acting very strange? For example, we see some very strange pages on Google search. We know that many people are checking their websites just to check their positions, for example, but they are very shocked and very negatively impressed when they see, for example, some results with Chinese symbols or something like that. So what should be the first step? Maybe we have to contact the hosting provider, or what should be the first thing? Or maybe we have to do something on our own?
You you can contact the hosting provider, but here, if you are the owner of the website and you didn't develop the website yourself, you need to contact your developer, because they need to take care of the website and keep it secure. So they need to investigate and find out what happened, how the hacker got in and compromised the website, and take the necessary actions to recover from the hack, to clean it, and to take other necessary actions so that it doesn't happen again. Usually, most of the hacks happen automatically. It's not manual. It doesn't happen manually. It may happen manually, but in most of the cases, it's automatic. You can contact the hosting provider, and they can help and give you directions and perform a scan and try to find all the malicious code that has been injected, and provide some advice. But basically, this is part of the job of the web developer who developed the website. They need to take care of the hack and fix it, and apply security measures so that it doesn't happen again.
Okay, we have two additional questions by our audience. Can we protect some open website ports from attacks, and how to do it?
I didn't hear. Can you please repeat the question?
Can we protect some open websites ports on the hosting server from attacks, and how to do it?
Open websites ports?
Yeah, ports on the server. Yeah.
Okay, because okay, I understood. Yeah, it's a server. It's not website port. Anyway, a port gets opened on a server, in an operating system, when you have a service listening on that port and accepting network requests. So if you don't have a service listening to a port, then it's closed. It's not open by default. By default, the port is closed. The port will become open and accepting traffic only when there is a process that is listening on that port. So here, I guess the question is more or less, should I install a firewall? Yeah, a firewall is a must, because it allows you to control what happens on the server, and some firewalls have additional features such as brute force protection. They can detect network scans, port scans, and block malicious activity. So yeah, a firewall is a good thing, but you need to know that your ports are not open until you have a process opening the port and listening on that port.
And the next question is, does the security depend on the type of hosting you use? For example, shared, managed VPS, and so on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when we compare shared hosting and virtual server. In shared hosting, I wouldn't talk about security, because when you share one server and when anyone on that server can use it to perform local attacks, every hacker knows that it's hundreds of times easier to compromise a server when you have local access to it. The fact that you don't have local access makes things much more complicated. So let me tell you a little bit more here. I need to mention that when I started so many years ago, I was a hacker. And I mean a hacker, a white hacker. I never did something bad to businesses, but I hacked servers and networks for fun. Reported it to the owners, and showed them evidence that I was able to get in. It was great fun, and I was doing it all day long without getting exhausted. And while at that time I was the attacker and the person who was looking to find a way to get in, today I'm on the other side, trying to find ways and develop tools and solutions that stop hackers. And that's why I developed a security system which is smart. I mean, it uses logic to detect malicious activity in order to block it and to report it to the website owner. Basically, it monitors all activity, processes, files changes, everything in the operating system, inspects the processes, and determines if the process is malicious. And depending on that, notifies the owner of the website. When such a compromise is detected, the website owner gets an email with all the data that has been affected and how they can recover from that hack. So the hacking I was doing 20 years ago is good today. So we can develop tools and systems that can block the hackers and keep them out of the server. But talking about security, shared hosting and virtual server, when you have hundreds of people and websites in your server, and any one of them can try to hack you locally, it's a huge issue.
Yeah,
it's a huge issue, and website owners and business owners cannot understand that. You need to have years of experience to know what can be done with local access. And I can tell you that with local access, there isn't a system that cannot be compromised.
Yeah, I see.
If you don't have local access, it's different. It's much complicated. Not that it's not possible, but it's much more complicated. And the chance to have someone interested to hack your website and put such a huge effort to hack it remotely, first of all, your website must be very, very important. And the goal and hacking that website, the value must be much higher than the effort to compromise it. That's rule number one in security, by the way.
Okay, let's jump to the last topic for today before giving our users the top tips for selecting the proper hosting provider. And it is a very common and very discussed question in the SEO industry. It is very closely related to the hosting industry too. And the question is, should we use CDN for our websites, or we can go with the hosting solution we have selected?
CDNs are important as they speed up the website.
Okay, so we would like to accept our apologies because our guest has some technical issues right at the moment. So we made the decision to end up the webinar for now. Thank you for being with us today. And again, please, sorry.
Something happened and I got disconnected.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's back. So let's continue with the last minutes. Okay, could you please repeat what did you say about the CDN solutions?
I wanted to say that a CDN is very important, and whenever it is possible, it's a good thing to have. It will speed up your website. It's good for SEO because if your website loads faster, that's good for your visitors, and Google will also like it. So it will help for sure in the long run, but don't expect some huge improvement or dramatic changes by adding CDN. You still need to to do your job and fix many other factors and things that are important to rank your website.
Okay. So your tips and tricks for choosing the best hosting provider, and what are the most important criteria? Support, reviews, loading speed, price, uptime, server type. How would you rank them, and what's your advice here to our audience?
Well, usually choosing the hosting provider, in some cases, the web developer recommends which provider to be used. Sometimes it's a business decision where the owner of the website, they choose which provider to work with. But I can say that choosing the hosting provider is how one of our customers recently described it. It's like a marriage. The provider will administrate your data, and basically your business will depend on it more or less. If you consider the relationship you are entering into with a host, yeah, we can say it's a bit of a marriage. You are transferring all your data and customers and letting the provider operate with all that, and you depend on the provider. And if you have been in the industry, in this game, it is very likely that you have been burned multiple times, and you know that you have to be careful. But if you are just starting out, you should know that you need to be careful. And choosing the provider carefully, I would include the following steps. I would advise people to check what other people say about that hosting provider. Are they happy, or are they sad with the support and services of that company? Look for reviews. Test their support, open a live chat before you're a customer, or call them and talk to them and see how they react, how they answer your questions. Ask for a trial, test the speed, or if you don't know how to test that, ask a professional to test it for you. Because choosing the right provider is tricky. Because the big boys in the industry are now using so many marketing tricks to get your money. And there are so many hidden fees and catches, so you really need to read the terms of service before ordering. I know that most of the customers, I'm sure that less than 1% of the customers are reading the terms of service. But I can't stress enough how important this is. Please read the terms of service, because you agree to them when you order your web hosting plan, no matter if it is shared, VPS, or reseller, or whatever it is, or dedicated. Because by reading them, you'll avoid unpleasant surprises, because your hosting provider at the end will play a big role as you grow your website and your business. So you need to be careful and take all those measures when you choose the right one for you.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in the last minutes, actually out of the time, but due to the interruption of the connection, we can stay 5-6 minutes after the 1 hour. So we're in the last minutes actually of our webinar, and we have a fun part. We usually would like to share an interesting image with our guests, and we ask them to put an alt tag, because alt tags are really important for SEO. So I will share my screen right now, showing you the image I have for you, and this is the image.
I'm open to suggestions.
But how would you entitle this image if you were the person behind the alt text, maybe, or the titles of the images? How would you entitle it?
I'm not sure what title to choose, but yeah, I'm as tired as the baby in the picture when I see hosting companies publishing content over and over again that has been repeated over and over again by 1,000 other web hosting providers. Yeah, the baby is so irritated as I am when I see the next article. I don't know what tag to choose here. Yeah, it's very funny, but that's how it is.
Yeah, so it will be a little bit longer alt tag, but yes, you're also sick and tired of this kind of information as a professional, which is also a very good statement from your side. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being our guest today. And thank you, everybody, for being with us today. I would like to say also big thanks to our team for reacting so quickly to the problems and for realizing these webinars. And for their great work, of course. I would like to say thank you to our sponsors too, and also to Tanya and Gergana, and to Serpact, of course, the official sponsor. We will be expecting you next month too, and very soon we will announce our next guest. Meanwhile, don't forget to follow us on YouTube, where you can find a lot of useful knowledge and information in our Serpask series. Feel free to ask Vlad any technical questions when it comes to the hosting services, the hosting servers. As maybe you can already noted that he's a really great professional at what he does, and he knows his stuff. So feel free to ask about this kind of technical issues you might have with your servers. Thank you again so much for being with us today and for sharing your amazing knowledge and tips. And thanks to our audience for being with us. See you all next time.
Bye-bye.